Hello everyone, this is the psychic prediction video for June 2025 for the world as well as an unexpected event in the United States. So in this video I will be going over Donald Trump, world news, the situation in Pakistan and India, the situation with Ukraine and Russia, and Israel as well. Which, by the way, all of those on some level I predicted before they happened and specifically mentioned either the month or the year that they would happen. The Ukraine one, I didn't specifically predict the month, but I predicted the year 2 years before it happened, saying that it would start in 2022. Israel was the month. Pakistan, India, I didn't mention that they were going to be attacked like the other two places that I knew was going to be like a war, but I did say that there was some sort of negative situation with Pakistan that was going to hurt them very badly until around June or so, but possibly after June. But we're about there now, so we'll see what happens, and I will be talking about my future visions of what I'm seeing for Pakistan moving forward here as well. Of course, I also do Bitcoin predictions, stock market predictions. I will be mentioning a little bit about France in relation to the blackouts, consciousness shifting, the energy shifting on the planet, and how that's related to ETs, actually. I've been talking about that for a very long time now. And of course, I will mention this unexpected event that could be happening in the United States. So let's get into what I was seeing in my visions for June 2025. The first thing that came to me in my meditation was Trump looking happy. He seems to be much happier than the previous months. In the previous months, I've been saying he looked like things weren't really working out for him. But it seems as though in June coming up here, it is currently May 29th, but June coming up here, it seems as though things will start being more in his favor. And I'm not talking about like how the news is reporting on him. I'm talking about him like on a personal level. And if his plans are truly working out, regardless of what he may be saying to the general public. But regardless, I was getting the sense that this success that he's having or that he's feeling positive about has to do with a political reshuffling of the economic allies around the world. And this is bigger than just the United States. This is like a big shuffling of people figuring out who they are aligned with coming up for June. I did get the sense that there could be something regarding China that is actually working out positively for Donald Trump, and this seems to be part of what's working for him. Although I still do see, as I've been saying in the past, longer term that China is actually gaining power, and the situation he created with the tariffs is actually going to hurt the U.S. in the sense of making China stronger longer term because of China cooperating with other countries and forming alliances stronger that are not aligned with the U.S. I do get the sense that June we will see a decline in the extremism coming from Donald Trump. So he'll kind of tone down for a little bit. I've been saying for a while now that since before 2025 started, I said the first 6 months of his presidency this time around will be very volatile and not really great for him. But then the second half of the year, things will start to look better, and we're about at that area where we're about halfway through. And I do believe that some of his extremism toning down will have to do with some of that improvement in the economy and things of that nature. I'm sorry if there's music coming through. There are loud cars outside, unfortunately. So, anyways, I predicted last month that Zelensky would be having a bad month, and this does seem to be the situation. I recently have seen the news coming out with Russia brutally attacking Ukraine. The news was talking about how it was the most weapons fired in one attack in the war against Ukraine to date since it started. So that happened May. I don't know the exact day, but it happened recently. And recently, also in the news, Trump has called Putin absolutely crazy for not going along with the peace treaties that he's been trying to get him to do. As I've been saying this whole time, I've been saying that it's not gonna work out, and I kept seeing Putin turning his back to it, and that continues to be happening. As I've been continuing to say, is going to continue to happen. So also, there's military escalation going on, as I predicted as well. Now, last month I said that there would be some sort of military escalation. I wasn't sure if it was Ukraine. I did say that I thought there would be a worsening situation going on in Ukraine, but like the main thing that I said last month, or for the month of May, that is, was that I was just getting the sense of this military escalation. I think that's even what I titled the video, was military escalation. And what that ended up being was India attacking Pakistan. Now, I said I wasn't sure what it was. I said it seems like it could be Ukraine because Ukraine looks like it's getting worse in the month of May, but I wasn't sure what it was. But regardless, there's a definite third situation now, which is Pakistan and India, the third major scare of what could erupt into World War III or something horrible like that. Which, again, I've predicted, and I've been saying for years now, that despite predicting all these things and having them show up, I also don't really see it being World War III. As I've said many times, I do see it being an economic war, so you could say it's like a cold World War III in the sense of the economies, and that was before the tariffs and everything, which now it's all pretty obvious. But I continue to not see a hot war involving all major countries. Yes, there are going to be lots of wars, lots of crazy stuff going on, but as far as calling it World War III, I don't see the U.S. being involved. I don't see Russia and the U.S. directly attacking each other, anything crazy like that. So, moving on here. So in April, I randomly said that Pakistan, randomly I was drawn to talk about Pakistan, which I never talk about Pakistan. Typically, I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now, every single month. And randomly, I felt that I needed to talk about Pakistan. What I said was, at least what I wrote in my notes for the video, was Pakistan feels painful with a strenuous, long wait for improvement. Economy improves around June through July. So it is June through July. And again, keep in mind, this is not political bias because I didn't even understand what was going on because this was before the event even took place. But I did say it seems the U.S. is able to influence political changes that benefit the economy. International connections and agreements are involved. So, of course, that was before the attack happened, and then later in that month, terrorists from Pakistan attacked Indian tourists, and then India later retaliated against Pakistan and blew up a bunch of spots. So anyways, moving forward here, I don't see this war between Pakistan and India lasting too long. This is different from what I've been saying about the Ukraine and Israel war, which I've been saying for a long time. they're going to keep going. I've had people call me crazy the whole way through, saying that they wouldn't last as long as they have, but here we are, and they are continuing to go on. So luckily for the Pakistan-India situation, I don't get the sense that this is going to drag on to be like 5 years or something like I predicted for Ukraine or Israel as well. So this was the military escalation that I saw as being a big deal for March. Moving on away from India to Ukraine. I did actually say last month, for the month of May prediction, I did see I did see Ukraine going into Russian territory and attacking. I said that it wouldn't necessarily be with troops on the ground as the previous month, which I also predicted there would be troops on the ground, which there were. But regardless, for May, it took a while, but May 27th, the news came out, and I will quote what it said. It said, a major Ukrainian drone attack late over Tuesday night into Wednesday led to at least two Moscow airports, Vnukovo and Zhukovsky, if I said that right, suspending flights. Russian authorities said the defense military said 112 Ukrainian drones targeted 6 different regions in the 3 hours up to midnight. And also Russian drones hit the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, injuring 8 people, including a child, the regional military governor said on Wednesday morning. So that would definitely be Ukraine going over the border of Russia, and there's now more talks in the news about that being the case more often as well. So anyways, sorry, there's a lot that I'm going over that I said last month. We'll get to what I'm predicting for June coming up here. But one more thing is that last month I said for the month of May that Joe Biden would be in the news regarding something he had put into motion during his term. And I wasn't sure what that was, but now I think I understand what it was, and I think it was just his general legacy himself, his kind of reputation and whatnot. And that's because this month he was in the news, and it was that he's been diagnosed with cancer. So years ago, I actually predicted that Joe Biden, despite everyone saying, or a lot of people saying that he wasn't going to do his full term, or, that was kind of more the Republican argument. But what I saw years ago was that he would complete his full term or come very close to the end of his full term before there would be some sort of major health issue that sets him back that would be unrelated to his memory or mental faculties. And so that's exactly what we've seen now, is that this is cancer. It's not related to his memory. And he did make it through his full term. So I do get the sense that this, moving forward, is going to be a long, slow decline for him. He might not make it through the end of the year of 2025, is the sense that I get. Okay, so moving forward, Ukraine looks very angry and frustrated for the month of June that we're heading into. I get the sense that Ukraine is getting very desperate, and it is starting to show more and more, although they may lash out with everything they have, and it may appear like a victory on some level, but it's really just kind of the lashing out of their last attempt, and their strength is waning, is the sense that I'm getting, as I've been predicting this for years since the conflict started. This will continue for a couple more months like this, where Ukraine is just very shaky and it's slowly going to be more and more accepted that this is the reality of the situation. I do get the sense that Ukraine may be forced to actually give up against Russia potentially around September of 2025. Now, that's not necessarily exact. This is just a general sense that I'm getting, an approximation. It may or may not happen in September, but it seems very possible to happen around that time. As I've been saying though, even if there is a official agreement or victory or loss or whatever, I don't know, whatever happens, peace treaty, whatever that is that happens, I don't see the fighting stopping. So I've said this for a very long time now that yes, they may reach some sort of agreement, but there's going to be factions of the Ukrainian military, or not necessarily the Ukrainian military, but militias associated with Ukraine and other organizations associated with Ukraine fighting on their behalf, even if Ukraine officially doesn't want them to. There's still going to be bloodshed going on continuously, and I do see this for probably a couple more years, although it could come down a bunch as far as the official war could to some degree officially stop, but it's not going to stop all the bloodshed. So moving on to Bitcoin. Now, I've been seeing it coming down for a long while, and it has been going down until this last month. It did go up a whole bunch. That was unexpected, but I do continue to see overall that it is coming downward, and it will start to go back up and reach higher highs later on in the year. But overall, for now, I'm seeing a continued downward motion. For June, it does seem that mid-June does look good for Bitcoin. It could do pretty good in the middle of the month, but that towards the end of the month, I'm expecting it to start coming down more. And I don't expect it to go too much higher from where it is now. Some people are saying it's going to take off. It has reached a new high, but just barely. I don't think it's going to do anything too amazing. But once we get later into the year, I do see a pretty good run for Bitcoin. July looks like it could be a good month for Bitcoin, but also that it looks like July could go up and then come right back down again. And August looks like that's more where it starts to go up at more of a steady pace, but then there's like a quick flash crash possibility in August that could also potentially happen in September, but it looks like there's a potential for just like a quick flash crash that comes right back up. But overall, it looks very positive. It looks like it's going upwards, basically August until the end of the year or so, with some maybe volatility in September, but definitely towards the end of the year, I'm expecting to see new all-time highs that are actually like higher to the point where it's not just like like a couple dollars higher. It's like actually like a significant amount higher than the previous all-time high. Nothing too crazy, but it does look very positive. And of course, you can join my Patreon page to see more in detail updates about that and hundreds of other altcoins and stocks on the stock market, of course. So moving on to the stock market, I do see it moving sideways with volatility. I don't see anything too major for the overall stock market until around September, where it looks like it has some very positive developments for the stock market. Again, that's also the situation for Bitcoin. It does seem like around September things are going to be pretty good and back on track for positive developments. Of course, you can join my Patreon for more information about all of this. There's a free trial for the lower tiers, and if you want the altcoin predictions, you can join for hundreds of altcoin predictions that I have made throughout the years on my Patreon page. If you've watched to this point in the video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up for all the work I've done and all the information I'm presenting to you for free here. You can comment in the you can leave a comment down below as well for the algorithm. That's always helpful to me, and I appreciate that, and I like to hear from you guys as well. And if you have not yet, subscribe for monthly predictions every month before the month happens. So last month I did say in the monthly prediction that there would be news about France, and that this news wouldn't vibe very well with Donald Trump. And we did see that because there was a blackout, a major blackout in France, and now they're starting to say that previously they weren't sure what it was, but more so now they're saying that it was an attack, an infrastructure attack of some sort. I also did say last month that there would be some sort of corruption around France showing up in the news for the month of May. And, you know, the corruption isn't necessarily the corruption of France, but it could be corruption of a cyber attack or an infrastructure attack on France. I wasn't really sure of the context. I just got the sense that there was corruption involved in some way. Now, previously, on my Patreon page, I said that it was an infrastructure attack mixed with other things going on that has to do with energetics on the planet and like an overload of information, that it wasn't necessarily supposed to shut down everything at first, but it kind of happened, and they're trying to hack into it anyways. And basically, after it happened, the first time I said it's going to happen again, and they're going to not try to hide it, they're going to be more obvious about it. And now it's coming out in the news that it was probably an attack. So that has been happening, and I do talk about who it was and kind of what's going on around that on my Patreon page. You can join that for free for the free week trial if you want, and cancel before you get charged if you want. So also previously, interestingly enough about that, I don't remember how long ago, I think it was for March. Actually, before 2025 started, I actually said that March would be the month where there are more ETs coming down to Earth, but in disguise, in a way where, not disguise so much, but basically they just look like they're humans. And I will get to some more about that at the end of this video, about some news that came up kind of recently regarding ETs basically landing on Earth. But anyways, what I was saying in that was that these ETs were going to influence the Earth culturally, or humanity culturally, slowly over time, and it would slowly bring about more of a culture on the planet where people are less likely to promote war as much. And I was talking about how this was going to be in Europe, and that's where it would kind of culturally start and spread. And also, I was talking about this being a major impact in France. Specifically, I said France. And right after I said that, there was some interesting developments with the, what was it? Some high-ranking person associated with France that wanted to have a meeting with Donald Trump. I can't ever remember who it was, but regardless, it's all very interesting how it all connects in that way. So basically, these ET presences are energetically influencing people and making a lot of shifts, and energy can be well, it can influence electronics as well. But on top of that, I also do see hacking into the infrastructure of France as well. So it's kind of like multiple things happening at once. So it's kind of confusing. But that's the gist of it. So, anyways, moving on here, I saw a vision of large crowds of people, like at Times Square, and this could be literally Times Square. I'm not sure if it's literally Times Square or if that's just kind of a reference that came into my mind to kind of represent the type of environment. But anyways, that's the sense I was getting. And I was getting the sense that people are startled by something big going on. And I got the sense of explosions in the sky. But again, I wasn't really sure if this was literally like literal explosions in the sky or more of a metaphor for something big that's happening that is scaring people temporarily. I got the sense that it's just like a very quick, like an explosion. You know, it scares you. It happens very fast, but then it is over, and that's it. So it looks like there could be a lot of fear around this, but that it doesn't seem to go anywhere beyond the initial situation. I do get the sense this could be somewhere in the U.S. And I get the sense that this will feel like an existential threat, but that it will turn out to be fine and not lead to anything horrible, despite scaring some people, of course. So moving on to the general energy of the planet for June. It's kind of a contradiction because I got calming energy mixed with chaos. And I know that's a direct contradiction. But I was getting like the sense of exhilaration, especially more like physically, externally, but then a calm mind despite the chaos. And so people were kind of stepping up in consciousness. And so on some level, we are energetically more calm, more at peace with things. But along with that is the chaos in the world stepping up to present more challenges at the same time. So inner calmness is going to be increased, but at the same time, external chaos is going to be increased. And I did get the sense of fires, as though there could be more fires popping up. I mean, it would make sense because June is kind of the month where things could get pretty hot, so that makes sense. I also got the sense that the first half of June is going to be hyped up, energetically speaking, not necessarily like what's going on in the news necessarily, it could be, but more so just like on an energy level, like how you feel within yourself when you tune into your energy frequency. And then the second half of the month seems to be where things calm down a lot more. And this has to do with the Earth frequency shifting, as I've been talking about for years now. We're living through an intense level of new waves of consciousness on this planet especially for the end of May, which it is right now as of recording this video, but also the start of June. It also looks really intense, so you may be feeling kind of weird lately and maybe burnt out. That's a very common feeling that people have during these energy updates. So we will be adjusting to this new, these new energies and this new, basically, evolution of the spirit over the next couple months, which means that it will be important to take care of yourself and avoid burnout. This is a very big energy upgrade for Earth, so you may feel like it is hard to keep up in life. And I think this is a very common thing that many people are experiencing, that it's just hard to keep up in life right now. And this is going to be true for the next couple months, but slowly fading away as we progress. So energetic updates seem to be smoothing out over the coming months, meaning that there will be it'll be easier on an energetic level, but there will still be chaos around you going on. You just may feel like you're able to handle it more, is all, or handle it better, I should say. So remember to take care of yourself, such as making sure you get some good sleep. Sleep is very important for you. Make sure you're eating decent food. Maybe don't overeat either. Maybe stop eating after 7 p.m. That's my general advice for general health. And also emotional comfort is important here, because some people may kind of push themselves and, not give themselves the emotional comfort that they need, not really, how do I say this, not really just tune into that aspect of themselves, or not really feel like it's valid. But it's important to understand that these are big energy shifts going on, and so it's probably good to check in with yourself and just kind of ask yourself emotionally how you're doing every now and then, and figure out what might make you feel better, and take some time to address that rather than just moving on to the next thing constantly. So I like to always ask what is good for the month, what is bad for the month. When I asked what is good for the month, one of the things that came up was being around water. And this could be possibly because most of us are, besides certain parts of the world, but most people probably watching this, we're heading into summertime more so, and things are getting hot. But also, the main reason why this showed up was because water can actually be grounding, and it can actually it's conductive. So if you're in water that's touching the ground, you are grounded to the earth, and there is a lot of benefit to that right now, to be grounded, to help you process a lot of the stimulated energy and ground it through the earth. So that's important for June. The other things that are good for June are talking with other people about how you truly feel about things. And this means, where you may not necessarily really express yourself on a deep level with people, is a good month to do that, is the sense that I get. Being around family and those you care about also came up as something that you may want to do a little bit, but also not overdo. It just seemed like it was good to have a good balance with that for the month. And of course, well, maybe not of course, but patience showed up, interestingly enough, for June, sorry. And this is because we are adjusting to a lot of things going on. There's also the situation that I've been talking about going back for the last couple of months or so, where I've been talking about how there's shifts going on where it basically started with all the plane crashes and whatnot. I'm not saying it was the only cause of that, but it was part of the cause of that, and then it's led into a lot more automobile accidents and things of that nature. And it's kind of leading more into the realm of choices and people making erratic choices. And so, because of that, patience is really important for the month of June here to, not jump into things. So, what is the month bad for? I got that it is not a good month for worrying about resources. So, if you're obsessed with making money or something like that, which I feel a lot of people are, I think last month I said that I got the sense that a lot of people watching the videos will actually be kind of having more issues with finances. But despite that, it's good to not worry or obsess about it as much as you can reasonably, of course, within reason and balance. So things are shifting and changing, as I've been saying. So before you jump to conclusions and get stressed out about it, be a little more patient and you don't necessarily need to worry about your resources. You may feel that you have to, but take a step back from that is the advice that I got. So also, it is not a good month for trying to do things solo, because burnout basically. Making finalized plans or deals. I'm not going to say you shouldn't make finalized plans or deals, but it may be good, again, to be a little patient about that and give us some time. Similar to what I was talking about, how the errors in making big decisions could be influencing you because of just the erratic energy, the, you know, updates in consciousness. It can be, it's like riding a wave, and it might be better to wait for the waters to kind of calm down a little bit so that you can think more clearly, if that makes any sense. And when I asked for some general advice for the month, I got stay out of trouble this month and take it easy. Usually I don't get simple answers like that, but that's what came through for this month. Nice and simple. So also I want to mention what I was talking about earlier about the ETs and whatnot. One thing that I did find on my Patreon readings, where I post things on my Patreon page, one thing that came up was this news article about a new scientific discovery, or it was a scientific study, I guess you could say, on an supposed orb that fell to Earth, and it's basically just like a sphere, like metal-looking sphere thing that was found in Colombia, and the findings indicated that it is artificially made, meaning it's not just like some natural occurrence, and that it doesn't really match a lot of current human capabilities of production. And there were some very strange things about it, like that it was cold to the touch, but if you poured water over it, it would evaporate. Interesting things like that. So it was also this ball, of course, was discovered in March of 2025, which is interesting because that was the month that I said that there would be ETs coming down to Earth, or a new wave. Not that they aren't already, but that would be the month where there would be a new wave of that taking place. So ironic that happened in the exact month. And I predicted that before 2025 even started as the month where that would happen. And you can go back and learn more about that if you want to watch my March 2025 psychic prediction where I talk more about it. But, anyways, I did a reading on that and the intentions of this orb, which I do feel has a consciousness, and it does seem to be, I'll just say, not a negative intention towards humanity. If you want to read more about that, you can join my Patreon and find out the details. Also, on my Patreon, I've been I've been doing some readings on the cartels, methylene blue, new earth energies, the future of India and Pakistan, the future of Ukraine. Tons of altcoin predictions for this month of May. I've made a good amount of altcoin predictions. And my personal gamble trades, what I put some money on myself regarding stocks or crypto. Also, I talk about South Africa and what's going on there. Actually, I think I posted that on YouTube, so you can find that on YouTube, but it's also on my Patreon. And some alarming visions about the new Pope coming into power. Also, of course, I do blind readings, meaning I don't know who it is that I'm reading before I do the reading until afterwards. And one of those people was Preston Nichols, who was from the Montauk Project, which has some very interesting information regarding basically time travel and other dimensions, things of that nature. I did a blind reading on a spiritual leader named Gudni, and upcoming here, I think in 2 days, it will be posted a new blind reading I did on Valiant Thor. And Valiant Thor is a supposed ET that has visited the White House in 1957. I can't remember which president it was, but he apparently talked with the president and all that, and there's supposed photos of him, so you can find out if that's a true story or not based off of the information that I was able to get through a blind reading. Of course, a blind reading is where I borrow the remote viewing protocol of having a name and associating it with a random digit number and hiding the name basically from myself. So I don't know what name it is. I have like hundreds of different numbers I randomly pull from, and I pull the number and I do a reading on that number, not knowing what the number represents until after the reading. Then I go on my computer and it tells me what name was associated with that. And then I do some research and compare what I got through the blind reading with the information that I know about the person once I know who it is, in addition to the additional research that I do on that person. And then I do some more reading, which is no longer a blind reading, but I still find it very valuable to connect more dots. So you can join my Patreon for free, and if you want the membership levels of access, you can also get a free 7-day trial for that as well. And I think the lowest tier has recently gone up in price. It used to only be $5. Now it is still only $7 to join the lowest tier to have access to all the hundreds of blind readings on different people. It's basically an encyclopedia of hundreds of influential people on humanity so that you can kind of get a sense of what's really going on in the world. And the idea is that there's a search bar, so you can type in someone's name, press search, and hopefully they show up, and you can see what information I got about them. And basically like a blind reading encyclopedia, as well as with crypto coins as well. Yeah, you want to make sure that if you do join, you do not cancel the subscription before you are done using it, because even if you cancel it and it hasn't run out yet, you will lose access to the search bar. And the whole idea of it being an encyclopedia of information will not be very helpful because you're not going to be scrolling through all the information. There's too much to scroll through, so you're going to need the search bar. So, yeah, I do one-on-one psychic readings as well as, if you don't want to do that, I also do written readings for as low as $55 for the budget-friendly option. If you have made it to the very end of the video, give this video a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Comment below to help the algorithm if you want to, and to say hi. And also subscribe if you have not, for monthly predictions every month before the month. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.